Hello guys, in this video I want to show you how you can transform your Kmeans code into your web application based on Flask. And here's the input and what is the output, and the output is here. You can write your input data, let's say 99, and here's the segment number 2, okay, and here's let's say 1 and 44, also number segment 2. Okay, you can make a prediction from your Flask application, and this Flask application is using Kmeans segments from your Python code. So let's go together. So we have this Python file which executing a Kmeans clustering on our data, and as you can see we are using a Kmeans from scikit-learn, and here is a number of clusters, 4, and here is a Kmeans executing part, and it's fitting on our data, and as a result we are having a centroids that we need to save locally, and these centroids will be used in our Flask application. So here's our data that we are going to use for training. It's 2 features only, income and spend. This is enough for this tutorial to make it more simple. So, and then what we have to do is to be sure that we are on the correct location in our terminal. Here's a Python file, clustering.py. We need to run it to be sure that it's working. And here's it. Here's centroids data, and centroids are being saved to pickle file. Now that's perfect. We are able to use this pickle file in our Flask application that you can use in web browser. Okay, it is only a very small amount of space on the disk. That's fine. And okay, I clear the terminal. Then what I can do is to create a structure in my project directory. So I'm creating a app.py. This is a Flask application, and then I need to create a some structure that Flask is supporting. So I'm creating a static. In static I will put some styles, and another one is templates. In templates it will be a HTML file that I put a structure of the web page. So in the static I use a styles, and styles I mean it is CSV file that I will create later. Okay, so here's a tree that is based on the Flask, and then I can go to static, and in here to styles, and as I mentioned before I can create a style.css. okay, yes, touch style.css. okay, here's my file. That's fine. Checking in the Explorer, that's just looking good. So I move a little bit up in my directory, and then I need to check. Okay, this is my current tree. It's looking good. So another thing what I need to do is to go to templates and to create a HTML file that Flask is supporting. So I'm creating a form.html. I'm not sure if it will be necessary or not, but index.html, it's the main page, and predict.html, that is the page which will be loaded when you press submit in your application. Okay, clearing the screen, and then I have all the things for starting my Flask application. Here is the tree for this time. Okay, I'm just removing the Mac operation files that I don't need it. Okay, and now I'm ready to start with my Flask application. So I need to open app.py. Where is it? Here's a static, and here's a app.py, and at app.py I need to import a Flask. So from Flask I am importing Flask, and also I will need a request and render template. Yeah, and Also, I will use a pickle for reading the pickle file for freeze centroids and numpy, and scipy spatial. I'm using a distance because I will calculate the Euclidean distance between the input data and freeze centroids. That is very useful. And then I am initializing a Flask application in here in the line 12, and app equal to Flask name. Okay, so, and as always, I need to initialize how the application will be started. So if name equal to main, so I need to run my application, and I'm using a host 000, and the port will be 80, and debug is true. That is for using it locally in your computer. That is good. Okay, next thing what I need to do is to define the pages and routes what I'm using in my application. So app route is the main, and another route is predict. The main route is when you open the browser, the main page, and the predict is the page which accept a post and get methods. That means it's accept the input data and make a prediction. So on the index page, what I need to do, I need to load index.html file, and for this I will develop the code later. And for predict, I need to load a prediction page, so I will develop this page also later. So for index page, I just return rendered template. It is from index.html. It is right here, so I will work on it a little bit later. Okay, and yeah, and also I need to initialize another route. It is for also main page, because I need to set up the methods that will be acceptable for this main page. It's a post, and to do it I need to get input values from the input data. Okay, and how I can to collect the values for the input data? I'm using a request package, and it has a form method. It is my form from my HTML file. So, and in predict I can write like this: if request methods equal to get, then I do following. I'm returning something, and let's see, the URL predict accessed directly. Go to main page firstly. That means that you need to firstly input the data and press submit button. So if request method is post, that means you entered some input data and you press a submit. So I can make a calculation. So get input values. So input values is equal to request form, and then yeah, I need to check if input values are not nothing. So I need to collect these values in, let's say, a for loop. Okay, it is a list for my values, and for key and values in input values items, I'm collecting it. So the list of values is appending with the input values from the web browser, and okay, and then I can to calculate the Euclidean distance between the input data and freeze centroids. That's the main key of Kmeans idea. So here's a freeze centroids that we saved before. I open this file. Yeah, this is my file, and freeze centroids equal to pickle and load file. That is good. Okay, and then I'm ready to get the data from these freeze centroids, and to calculate which segment should be assigned to the input data. So this is what I'm doing right now. This is a list of distance between input data and each centroid. let's say if you have 4 segments, you have 4 distances, and the one that you need to select is the segment that have a shortest distance between your input data and the segment. Okay, and then here's my 3 centroids, and I can calculate the distance between each segments and input data. I'm using Euclidean distance. I'm using my input values and this segment, and I appending this distance to my list, and the index of the segment I'm using a numpy argmin method. It is right here. Okay, and what I need to do, I need to append it to assigned clusters. That means I am creating a list that is a candidate to select the correct segment for your input data. Okay, and what I need to return, I need to return also a HTML file, and in this case HTML file will be predict.html, because when you press submit you go to another page which return you the result, and the result is, result value will be what is it, segment equal to index min. That means you select the segment with the shortest distance between your input data and your freezed centroid. Okay, I saved my file. It's looking good. If I got some syntax errors, I will fix it later. Okay, and on the main page it is a index.html. I need to set up the full code that is supporting my Flask application, and this is HTML, and in this HTML I need to define some metadata. It is on heat block right here. It is a meta character encoding. I'm using UTF-8. Okay, and I'm defining also style, and on the style I'm using some fonts from internet. In this case I'm using some font from IBM. I really like it. It is right here. All the fonts data is here. You can use as any as you want. I'm using this one. You can get it from fonts.google.com. Okay, for this file is fine. Then I need to use some style.css file to make my application more fancy in some, let's say, colorful or some interactive interface. So I'm loading a style file from static, and the file name it is style.css. It is right here. We will set up this file later. It is not necessary, but if you want to make your application will appear more fancy, you can define a style.css. It is right here. So I will set up it a little bit later. So come back into index.html. Okay, I need to also import URL from. It is right here, because I'm using this method in index.html. Okay, so we can move forward, and also the title, let's say it's a clustering. You can type as any name as you want. Okay, and then go to the next block. It's also you can define the style inside your HTML code. For example, I need to set that font family. It will be that font that I define it above. So it is IBM Pleasant. It is right here, and font size is 14. Yeah, okay, it is enough for style in my HTML file. So the most important block is the body. In the body you define the full structure, how your web application will look like, and I'm defining many classes, many containers, which frames your input fields and some data, let's say authors or any data that you want to display for the users. For example, here in top heading, I can add some logo. So I'm defining my logo. It is also I'm using URL for, and the logo image file will be in static and logo.png. Okay, I will put this logo in a second, and width is 50 pixels, and then I write a clustering. It's like some simple text. Okay, and the next block it's here, and yes, I need to define the class is like outer. You can define any classes you want, and inside class will be inner to make it more stylish. Okay, and now I'm defining some input fields. So set the input values predict a segment. Okay, and this is, I think, the most important part in HTML. I'm defining a form and action. What action is doing? It's loading a predict page when you press submit. The method is post because you're posting your values in the fields, and inside this I'm using another container, which is an input area. So for input area container, I'm using a label, and label for the feature number 1 is feature number 1. It's also the text is a feature number 1, and the label is complete. Then I need to set up my input field, and input field format is numerical. ID is feature number 1. Yeah, it's feature number 1, and the name is the same feature number 1. Okay, it's quite straightforward and simple. So you can set up a threshold and limits. Let's say minimum value is 1, maximum value is 100. So I leave it as it is. It's just good for me. So I think that's it. You can copy and paste this block to define for a second feature. I changed from 1 to second. So as a result of this, you have 2 fields for 2 variables. So below you can define some another containers where you put additional information. But in this example, I'm using another container for bottom, and that means you should define how the button for submitting your values will look like. So I'm using a width of 700 pixels, and here's my button. Button, and the type is submit because you are submitting the values. You can define a class, let's say bottom, and on click it's equal that window location, and you want to open the predict.html file. Because in this predict.html file you will return the result. So, and the name of the button is predict now. Okay, it's looking good for now. And what is more, you can also write some additional information below. Let's say what is the author and the date and anything what you want. And like this, it is quite good. Okay, if I don't miss anything, you can to make your code more readable. And what I need to do more is okay, let's say I can to go to statics, and here's my logo.png, and I also need to put a physically file into my static. It is my logo. It is a logo in the static folder, and then I go to another HTML file is predict.html. I'm using the same style metadata from index.html from here. I'm copy and pasting it to predict.html because what I need to do in predict.html is just to return the result, and that's all. And in body it will be a quite simple structure. It's let's say a one sentence with the result. So I'm defining only one container. It's a prediction, and in the prediction I'm using another container. It will be, let's say, a top heading, because I want that the result will be in very high letters. So I'm using a bold text, and in bold text you can to return result value. It is result value from your app.py. Remember, it is right here. Because Flask framework is supporting variables from a Python code, and you can put into the HTML file, and that is really cool. So I'm saving my predict.html. So far is good. And now the last piece what you need to set up is the style. For defining the style, you should understand how CSS is working. And this is really cool, because you can define as many stylish composition as you want. You can also integrate JavaScript to make it more interactive. And I don't waste a lot of time to doing it. I'm just defining the input area. You can define the background color. You can define margin, paddings, for example, matching from bottom, matching from top, and etc, etc. So for example, here is a style for the button. I'm using a color like this, and text color is a black, border is a 1 pixel with black color, border radius is 5 pixels, and padding is also 5 pixels. Okay, and when you have your mouse over the button, you have to change something. It's a transition to duration is half a second, and background color will be different one. And when you have your mouse over the button, so I don't want to go very deeply in CSS. It depends on you. You can customize in many ways as you want. In another scenario, you can do nothing with CSS, because you also have a working application, and it depends on you, depend on the business, if you need style.css. To make it more fancy, I'm using it, I'm save it, and now it's a good time to test how my application is working. Okay, here's a python.app.py. Yeah, I made some syntax error. Here's render template, not rendered. Here's also render template. I need to fix it for render. Okay, and in the road I need to fix it name. What's more? Also I need to don't use the dots in the roads. Okay, it's working on the port number 18. Okay, I want to open my application. Oh, name error, and what is here? Oh, it's also not rendered. It's a render template. Okay, that's just good. Okay, running it again. Yeah. Okay, and you see your application is working, and you have different fields for different features. And for feature number 1 and for feature number 2, for example, I type 10 and 40. Oh my god. Okay, I wrote a wrongly name for enumerate. Yeah, I fixed it. I think that's the last fixed in my application. So let's try again. So let's say 80 and 112. Maybe I need to try again because the changes was not loaded. Okay, I have the prediction. For example, for this is segment number 2, and for this is also segment number 2. For this also segment number 2. I guess this cluster is quite big. Here's a segment number 0. Okay, but as you can see, CSS style is not applied to my current version of application. Maybe I missed something into my HTML file. Let's fix it now. I missed some brackets at the end in here. and in here. Okay, and now let's try again to run my application. Okay, you can see the style is applied to my application, and you can use I also I need to change it for feature number 2 right here. I forgot it, so let's restart it. Okay, that is a final application that you have, and you can make a prediction directly in your Flask application, and it is using a Kmeans clusters, for example segment number 2, and you can make a prediction for your Kmeans segments by using a Flask application in your web browser. That is really fun. So, and here as a bonus I provide you a GitHub repo for this quick tutorial, and here you can check that how is the result, app.py is looking, and all rest of files, and you can use it for your project, and all codes are delivered in here that I'm used in tutorial before. So that's it for this tutorial, and see you on the next video. Never stop learning.